Well, New Brunswick is leaving, the New Brunswick government is leaving the social media site X, formerly known as Twitter. The provincial government has announced it will no longer be using the platform after calls from youth and seniors advocates. In a post on X yesterday, Premier Susan Holt wrote, "We recognize that the platform's recent history, including reports of harmful content and inadequate safeguards, has eroded trust that it can be used in a way that aligns with our values and obligations to New Brunswickers. Given these serious concerns, our government will no longer use X for routine communications." New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt joins me now. Premier, it's good to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be with you, David.
There's been a lot of governments taking action against X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, some of them banning it on a national level for people of a certain age. You're abandoning the platform in New Brunswick. Why did you make that decision?
Well, it's something that we've been thinking about doing for quite some time because we've just seen it used to be a forum for more dialogue, and we used to see better engagement and back and forth with New Brunswickers on the platform, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And then our child and youth advocate also made the recommendation that government be off the platform. So that was another straw on the pile, as they say. And look, we want to go where the conversations are vibrant and diverse. We want to go where New Brunswickers are, and that's not Twitter anymore.
Is it the content that the users are putting on it? I know the AI Grok has been doing a lot of things with images of women that is broadly offensive. And then there's, of course, the personal behavior and the politics of the owner, Elon Musk. Is it mostly just the content, or is it because of political opposition to where Musk is on a number of things, or is it really just the community and the way it's evolved?
Well, I think that certainly our child and youth advocate was calling on the government to stop using X because of the exploitation of youth and the lack of controls or safeguards on the platform for, as you mentioned, manipulated images of youth and really violent and illegal images that he doesn't think that the government should be out supporting with paid and subscribed accounts. And so we won't be sending any more money to X, and we won't be pushing out content through that channel. I will likely still be there to listen occasionally because I want to make sure that we're plugged into all sorts of conversations and hearing lots of diverse perspectives. But it's not somewhere we want to direct New Brunswickers to go to get news from their government.
Okay, that's kind of where I wanted to go next. And this is not a defense of X. I've been called many, many things on that particular platform that when you complain, they say it doesn't violate community standards. I'm like, well, I don't want to be part of that community. But in times of, say, well, I was in your province on vacation last year and there were wildfires. It is a way to get information out, survival information. So is it something you may default to in these extreme moments to put out survival information, right? Because the utility of it becomes useful at a time like that.
Well, one of the realities of this day and age, David, and I'm sure you see this in the job that you do, is there are so many channels now. We have multiple social media channels. We have the classic, radio, television, printed news. We're even getting to the point where we have direct channel where we can put out emergency notifications that go right to your phone through our partnerships with mobile carriers and telecommunications carriers. So we have a lot of channels that we can put emergency messaging and critical messaging through that let us target New Brunswickers and get a sense of read and receipt. And so we're gonna make sure that we are using the best possible mechanisms and being really thoughtful about the dollars and the cost behind those to reach New Brunswickers in critical incidents as well as with important information.
Like, essentially the government of New Brunswick has the same option and choice of any broad consumer when it comes to dealing with a platform like this. I do not believe any provincial government has a regulatory authority here, though the national government would. And we've seen other countries talking about banning social media for kids under 14, kids under 16. Spain changing the law to make people like Elon Musk liable for what happens on their platforms. Where do you think Canada should go on an issue like this? I know it's tough to do anything with the big tech giants in the US while you're dealing with President Trump and Kuzma, but these companies have this enormous power with very little restraint, it seems at times.
Well, these are questions that government there's a couple different directions I could go with this,
Mm,
David, but these are questions we're absolutely asking ourselves. And look, as a mom of three kids, I've got a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old. I think about their lives online and the role that social media and technology plays in their lives. None of my kids have a phone or an X or a
mm,
Snapchat account yet. And I'm watching pretty closely what's happening in places like Australia and others. And then we think about cybersecurity and how that's changing, and AI and how that's impacting our policies, our legislation. And it's our responsibility as governments to steward a lot of public information and data responsibly to make sure that we're keeping people safe. We
hmm
keeping their information safe, and building up the kind of structures where information can be transmitted reliably. So think a lot about the balance of who's responsible for what, who's liable for what tools are we using to get that across, how are we protecting kids in an environment that is constantly changing, because there's new technology tomorrow that can do more and different than the tools we were using yesterday. So trying to stay up with on top of it, build the right legislative and governance
mm.
framework, and also adopt the behaviors. That's what this decision is about, the behaviors of government that can, in some cases, influence or direct people.
Yeah, no, I've got
So there's
two.
a lot to do here. And what Canada should do on this front is make sure that we're leading the way, right? We don't want to be
Mhm.
a receiver of technology in the world. We want to be right up there, making sure that we are both building technology, building safeguards, and making sure that this is a place where we can leverage new and innovative skills and knowledge for the benefit of our people, their healthcare, and their education, but doing so in a way that supports democracy and the rule of law and safe
Right.
societies.
Yeah, I remember in your election night victory speech where you said you were going to go mama bear for a moment and talked about your three daughters and said, leave my children alone. And social media is obviously the path where that abuse would happen. I've got two kids, so I think about it a lot myself. You spoke, you and the other Atlantic premiers met with Mark Carney yesterday, talking about fisheries, talking about critical minerals, talking about major projects, and talking about defense spending. The Munich Security Conference is next week. There's an anticipation the defense policy, the industrial policy is going to come before that, most likely. What are you hoping to see from that? Because every province is kind of saying they want a piece of the increased defense spending. Halifax is maybe the biggest military presence in Atlantic Canada. What are you hoping to see as the Premier of New Brunswick in this?
Well, I would say New Brunswick is the biggest military presence in Atlantic Canada, because we are
Gagetown.
where Canada's military is made. And
Hmm.
CFB Gagetown is the second largest base in Canada and
Right.
the largest in the East. And so, along with the heft and the responsibility of training tomorrow's soldiers, we also train them in cyber defense and have a lot of capacity with our research institute in cybersecurity and the businesses that have built around that to come up with incredible defense solutions that happen invisibly for the rest of us, and train the military on those. But there's actually, I'll go beyond New Brunswick in this instance, because the region is rich in capacity. You talk about
Yeah.
the kind of shipbuilding that they do in Halifax, the incredible aerospace sector that they've built over in PEI. We've got a decommissioning capacity that's been built up in Newfoundland. And so we were very interested in encouraging the Prime Minister, and looking forward to seeing in this defense industrial strategy that's going to get released next week, that each of those specializations is recognized and built out. We think that we have an opportunity at the Port of St. John to provide a bit of
Mm.
redundancy and resiliency in sending soldiers off and having a receipt port for that kind of supply. And we want to make sure that that investment that's coming is going to be focused, as I think the Prime Minister likes to say, on building here at home, on partnering in the interests of our neck of the woods. And then we buy as a last resort so that we can see the maximum benefit from those dollars spent to New Brunswick businesses and entrepreneurs and in communities in this province.
Right, and I just want to make clear, in nodding to Halifax, I was not trying to denigrate Gagetown, because I have many friends and family members who were stationed there and trained there. But look, I asked this question of Premier Houston on the show yesterday. If for this to be an effective strategy, it has to be truly focused on the needs and capacity of the military, and not kind of like a regional economic development program, right? So what is your sense of how we might see it? Do you have any sense of clarity yet from the conversations with the Prime Minister, or do we all have to wait and see whenever they pull back the curtain?
Well, we're certainly looking forward to getting more information from the strategy,
Yes.
but we've been gleaning bits and pieces in terms of the emphasis that they've put, much appreciated by this premier, on dual use technology and investment. We think of the Port of St. John as
Hmm.
exactly that. Investment in the port that is dual use allows us to send off and receive troops, but also move a lot of goods from New Brunswick to Ontario and back, and from New Brunswick to the world. And so investments in dual use seems to be something that this strategy is going to prioritize,
Hmm.
focusing on what we can build at home and which partners we establish globally, so that you're getting the maintenance of a contract. We might not be able to build the thing here, but the maintenance value of that contract is actually worth more than the purchase value. So how are we making sure that that's not regional economic development per se? That's ensuring sovereignty and security over our defense products and tools and services. But for us, we have the expertise in
Right.
cyber defense. We have the world's leading researchers in AI and some of this kind of thing, and we're building that out. And so we want to make sure that that those dots connect. And that we can take something that we've been doing for Gagetown for quite some time, and expand it in Canada's interests around the world.
Susan Holt, Premier of New Brunswick, we always appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, David. Good to see you.